Hello, everybody. Hello, everybody. How are you guys doing tonight? Welcome back. How was vacation? Vacation was great, amazing, awesome. For those of you who don't know, I'm just getting back in town from the Dominican Republic, and I had an awesome time. I love it. I encourage all of you to go. Food's great. People were great. Family was great. So everything was amazing. Thanks for asking, Mr. O'Connor. Where are y'all from tonight? We got California in the house. Been to Cali a few times. Atlanta, Georgia. Got a lot of friends there. Ohio. South Carolina. New Jersey. Love that state. Hello from Houston. I've been there once. Detroit. I never made it there. I need to go. PG County, Maryland. Colorado. Texas. Olive Branch, Mississippi. Where is that? Memphis metro area. Okay, gotcha. At the top of Mississippi. North Carolina. Go Tar Heels. Well, actually, I'm a Demon Deacon. I graduated from Wake Forest, so I don't root for the Tar Heels, but I'm talking about the Tar Heel State. Go Carolina. Arizona. All righty, so let's get started with questions tonight. So good to be here back with you all for our December live. Let's see here. Is insomnia a condition that can be rated? Definitely, it sure is. Absolutely. Go for it if you have it and it was service connected. It's rated as a mental health condition. And so if you already have a mental health condition, you need to be careful that you don't end up opening back up your mental health for potential for reduction. But if you don't have a mental health condition and insomnia is bothering you, for instance, your back pain causes you to stay up at night, you can claim it secondary, or any other type of pain that keeps you awake and you can't sleep. I know it sounds crazy, but my wrist does it to me all the time. I have really bad wrist pain. Probably from typing all the time. Well, no, I injured it once, and ever since it's been messed up. It's okay. I'm a Bucholz fan. Go Dolphins and Panthers. Okay, we got another question here. Can you receive a rating for hip pain but no other diagnosis? Yes, you can. Since the court case Saunders versus Wilkie, it is possible to just be rated for pain. Now, will the VA do it? That's another story at the agency level. But it is possible just to be rated for hip pain. I left the Army March 2010. I got diagnosed with sleep apnea in May 2010. Wow. Since then, I've been denied for sleep apnea a few times. Since I originally got tested less than a year after my separation, can I go back and claim that? When was the last time you got denied? If I was you, I would have taken it to the Board of Veterans Appeals because you were in the golden period, the 1 year period after service, and probably more likely than not should have been granted. But you're going to have to fight for it. And so you could get another Nexus. If it's been over a year, you could get another Nexus letter and open it up and see where it takes you from there. But if I were you, I would take it to the board. Yes, you can always reopen the claim with a supplemental claim with new and relevant evidence. I'm sure I know the answer, but prior CMP exam for mental health this last year got 30% and got more evidence and got DBQ through VMAG, submitted it for PTSD. Will they for sure need another CMP, or could DBQ and evidence of event be enough? The DBQ and evidence of event could be enough. It is all that is needed, but at this time, the way supplemental claims are happening, the VA is just going back and ordering exams even after you submit positive evidence. And so I would not be surprised at all if you got an exam for it. They just seem to be on an exam roll, ordering exam after exam after exam, when it's technically by the evidence it's not necessary. Let's see here. Is hypertension secondary to sleep apnea? I surely believe that it can be. I'm not a medical professional, but I've seen it a few times. What exactly does presumptive mean when it comes to claims? It means that it's set out by law that you do not need to prove service connection for a condition if you were in service from a certain period. For instance, if you were boots on the ground or on a certain ship in Vietnam, they are going to presume that you were exposed to Agent Orange. Therefore, you become eligible for a list of disabilities that you don't have to prove. If you have diabetes, then you're going to be service connected for diabetes if you were exposed to Agent Orange in Vietnam. It's supposed to be like that for Gulf War illness too, but it's pretty hard to prove it. Well, you shouldn't have to prove it really, but they just don't have a good rhythm when it comes to that at this point. But what else is presumptive? Some things out of Thailand, radiation type exposures, chronic diseases that appear within 1 year of service. So there's lots of things that are presumptive. It's all about the time period you were in or the time period after service and what's set out by law that can be connected. Within the last year, I got denied. Oh, you should go to the Board of Veterans Appeals then. No doubt. I would definitely take that to the Board of Veterans Appeals, that sleep apnea claim that got denied within a year of service. I think you will get granted at the board just for what you told me. What are the rules for getting a caregiver after homebound has been granted? So the caregiver program has changed recently. It seems to be some Play-Doh in the VA's hands. They're always sort of manipulating how it works. But it got a lot of bad reviews at first because they were just cutting people from the program left and right. But I think now it's a little more stable. But you have to apply. The caregiver program is a benefit through the Veterans Health Administration. I mainly deal with benefits through the Veterans Benefit Administration. So the caregiver program is on the health side. And I know you have to go through the social work program at the VA to get the application for it and get started. As for the rules, I know they either have recently opened up or they're about to open it up for Vietnam era veterans and that type of thing. So basically you need assistance with the activities of daily living. They call them ADLs. in order to be eligible for the caregiver program. It matters less how much you're rated for anything, and it matters more how much you need the assistance. So you got to kind of weigh. There's no harm in going for the program. I mean, you can't lose anything. It's not like they can reduce your disability because of it, but it's all about how much help you really need every day. And so you should be mindful of that. Are you noticing an increasing trend where veterans are having multiple duplicate CMP exams? Yes. I thought the OIG dinged the VA a few years ago for scheduling unnecessary CMP exams. Please comment, thanks. The VA has not learned. I remember that report from the Office of Inspector General. It's pretty thorough. Please comment. They are just scheduling exam after exam, and the evidence, I believe that once a claim gets denied and a veteran goes back and presents positive evidence on a supplemental claim, the claim should be granted, period. The veteran has presented enough evidence and should be given the benefit of the doubt, and it should be granted. What the VA is doing is when there's something is denied, the veteran goes out and gets a Nexus letter, and then the VA is coming back and saying, oh, you need another exam. Well, there's really no point in that extra exam other than developing to deny. And so it's just I don't know what we can do about it, but something needs to be done, right? Congress, do something, but it's just so many exams. I guess we could call the OIG and tell them to look back into the report about unnecessary CMP exams, but there needs to be some retraining at the regional offices about when to order an exam and when the evidence is sufficient, because the raters and the people that process your claim when it first comes into the VA really don't know what's sufficient and what's not sufficient. They're just ordering exams by routine, as a routine procedure, and that's not the way it should be. Every claim should be looked at individually. My wife left the Army in '97 and her medical records from when she was in the Gulf War is missing. What do we do? Oh, that's a tough one. It's a tough situation when your medical records are missing. I would ask the archives to find them. I would ask them again and write the VA and ask them again to look for them. I would try going to TRICARE online and seeing if you can, if any of her records are there, any of her prescription records, anything you can find on TRICARE you can use for a claim. Buddy statements. So when your records are missing, you need to recreate what happened in service. And so buddy statements, a personal statement, family statements, that type of thing will help you establish that something actually happened in service. So hopefully they find her records, but if they don't, just remember that you have to recreate the event for the VA. And don't stop at the lowest level. If you get denied at the agency, take it to the Board of Veterans Appeals. If you get denied at the Board of Veterans Appeals, take it to court. They're more likely to listen to your late evidence, your statements from you and your buddies at the board level and higher levels than they are at the agency level. I just had a veteran today who was, after a fight and a remand from the BVA, was finally granted his net claim. He served for 2 years, and there was no record of neck pain in service. But after he got out, within the year he got out, he went to the physician and said, hey, this is from carrying a rucksack. And so they granted it based on his lay testimony that his rucksack caused his disability, and the examiner agreed with it. So there are ways to recreate events. It's a matter of what did the medical records say in 98 when she got out? What did they say in 99? Get all that evidence together and present it to the VA. Let's see here, I keep skipping questions. How do you get rated for scars? I had HB and R with osteotomy surgery of the left foot. Wow. I put an increase for foot condition and scars. The scar should have been rated as a separate condition. That's exactly how you get, you probably need to claim the scar as secondary to the foot because it didn't happen directly in service. And so you need to go back and claim the scar as secondary, but the scar should definitely be rated. Before I was granted 100% in August, I had a claim already on appeal to the board. Should I retract that appeal or let it get decided on? Let the appeal get decided on. There's potentially back pay in that appeal getting decided on. If I had any rating reduced from 30% medically retired to 20%, would my retiree benefits be affected like TRICARE for my family? I do not believe so, but I am not 100% sure. I deal more with VA benefits issues than retiree issues most of the time, but I don't believe that your benefits would be reduced if you went down to 20%. I could very well be wrong though. It just doesn't sound right. After filing for a higher level review, it now says Veterans Administration is correcting an error. Is this common? It's very, very common these days. So it's one of the main ways that the VA is handling higher level reviews now. If the reviewer cannot grant the claim, but they see an error that happened in adjudication, they send it back to the supplemental claim lane to a lower level for them to correct the error. Whether it was they didn't get all your records or the CMP exam was insufficient or they overlooked evidence of record, sending it back for a duty to assist error is what they call it, is very, very common. But it's neither positive nor negative. It's just a neutral thing. It doesn't mean it's going to get granted. It's just a second bite at the apple. I was just medically separated from the Navy in September and received a severance pay. Can I still claim other issues? You most certainly can. You're probably going to have to pay the severance pay back. At some point, they're going to realize that and have you pay it back. So be mindful of that, but yes, you can still claim other issues. I am service connected for GERD and TBI. I have had 2 private medical opinions in my favor, one blaming GERD and the other blaming both. The VA denied OSA secondary to GERD, and now my VSO is trying TBI. I just had an appointment, and I'm terrified the VA will deny it again. Any ideas? Make sure that you appeal the GERD decision before it's too late. While you're trying with the TBI, unless you think you'll get a decision on the TBI within a year, or I would go ahead and file it so it's in process and you won't be waiting forever for an answer. But I will file the appeal to the Board of Veterans Appeals. It sounds like you have more than enough evidence. It's just at the agency level, they're not supposed to, the VA is not supposed to favor their evidence or evidence from their examiners and just count other evidence like it's insignificant from private providers, but they do. It's a very real thing, and it's not right, and eventually it will get corrected. But at this time, you should follow the advice of your VSO. It sounds like your VSO is trying hard to get it connected, and I wouldn't be terrified at the exam. I would just be ready to fight. If it gets denied, fight it. Take it to the next level. But listen to your VSO. He's reviewed your file and I haven't. He or she. I was at Camp Lejeune with kidney cancer. They dropped my 0% presumptive. Why did they drop it? What was the reason they gave? That seems erroneous. What should I do if my initial claim was denied and they have my military dates incorrect? Does it matter if something's occurred while in the reserves? Yes. In order for a disability to be rated, it must have occurred on active duty. So all that matters is your active duty time. So that might be what dates they have are only the dates. If you're on active duty for a week, they're only going to count those dates or disabilities that happened during that week. And I've seen that happen where a veteran was on active duty for a week and hurt his ankle. And that's the only active duty time he had his whole service in the reserves. And so, but that might be why your dates are a little mixed up. But if they're still incorrect, then you need to get that corrected ASAP. It might take a call to the VA or some other type of paperwork to do that. How long does an appeal take? It depends on what lane you choose. In the appeal lane, a supplemental claim is an appeal. So that could take, 2 to 3 to 4 months. And then you have a higher level review, which is taking about 4 months right now. And then you have the Board of Veterans Appeals, which is going to take you a year or more. And so I would be prepared, to wait a little bit longer if you choose to go to the board, but do know you're probably going to get a better decision at the board than you would at the agency. Let me go back to that question. I think the grant rate at the board is somewhere around 30%. And the remand rate is somewhere around 30%. So that's a 60% chance of getting some type of favorable decision at the board level. So I know I'm right about the first statistic. I'm not sure on the second one, but you have a very good chance at the board. So if you can wait and you're willing to wait, please take it to the board. I finally got CMP exam scheduled from my supplemental claim. The 800 number, VA guys gave me the QTC number and they scheduled immediately. My question, when is video conference? Should I look up the doc and fax him my treatment diagnosis records or just offer them during the teleconference? If just got scheduled Friday for the coming Friday, I doubt they gave my records to them. If you submitted your records with your claim, then the doctor is already going to have your records. Or if they are VA treatment records, the doctor is already going to have the record. And so there's no point in faxing him the documents. What I would do is at the beginning of the video conference, let the doctor know that you have records and ask if he or she has them. That way you're clear on what the doctor has reviewed and what they haven't reviewed. They say, oh, I haven't reviewed your records yet. Say I have these records, I'm willing to offer them. How do I get them to you? But I wouldn't fax anything ahead of time. Just go with the flow of what the doctor's comfortable with. Why does the VA seem to change the name of a claim? Denied GERD originally, got more evidence and such, and then when it was submitted, it's not showing up as GERD. It says stomach hernia. A little confused. Basically, they name it whatever the CMP examiner says it is. So, It makes little sense sometimes. If you had evidence that says it was GERD, it probably should have stayed as GERD, but whatever their examiner says it is, that's what they're going to go with. So what you need to look at is the official diagnosis in your records and then the diagnosis on the CMP exam results and see what that was. More than likely than not, something said stomach hernia. Is there a form for a claim for aggravation of a pre-existing condition? Yes. The 526 EZ is what you use to file that if it hasn't been denied before. The original application for benefits, and just write up there aggravation of pre-existing condition and put the condition to let them know that that's the type of claim that you're making. It's just how you would, if you were doing the paper claim, it's how you would write it out on the paper claim. If you were doing a secondary claim, you would put hip pain secondary to back pain. And so put aggravation of pre-existing condition of headaches or something like that. That was a very good question. For my claim, they keep doing supplemental claims. I have been to LHI 3 times now. I'm sorry you keep having to go through that. Apparently they're needing clarification on something, or they keep denying it and then you reopen it and then they do a supplemental claim and send you to another examiner. But hopefully that gets resolved soon. Do I need a Nexus letter for GERD? I would need to know more about the circumstances of your claim. Has your claim been denied before? Are you within a year of service? Did you have GERD in service? There's just more things I need to know. Hi, I'm from San Antonio, Texas. Shout out to San Antonio. I filed a claim back more than 5 years ago. I was left a voicemail to schedule my appointment Friday. I called the next business day Monday and left a voicemail. I received a letter some weeks saying my claim was denied because I missed my appointment. How can I miss an appointment that wasn't scheduled? What can I do? The easiest way, the VA made a mistake, granted, but the easiest way to fix this is to file a supplemental claim saying I'm ready to report for the exam for XXX, whatever the condition is. Please reschedule, and put the date of the last denial and sign it and send it in. That's the easiest way to get your exams rescheduled. It's easier to just get them rescheduled than to fight the fact that it wasn't scheduled. I just received my initial claim rating after retiring on the 1st of October. They only rated 6 items in the first 16. Whoa. A lot of the deferred items, I had plenty of documentation in my records, even surgery on one of my feet. Do I just wait for them to get to the deferred claims? I heard it can take years. Yes, you just have to wait it out on the deferred claims, but it probably won't take years. That's a little long for a deferred claim. It might take a year, but even that is long. I would give it 2 to 4 months, maybe. But there's something else they needed to decide those claims. So that's why it's been deferred, but it won't take years. If it takes years, there's a big problem. Is there not an option to do a supplemental claim online? No, there's not. You have to fill out the paper form. You can submit it online via fax or direct upload or something like that, but you must fill out the paper application in order to submit a supplemental claim. From what I understand, they're working on a way to file a supplemental claim online, but it's not yet public. I'm currently 70% for PTSD. I just filed a fully developed claim for an increase. They updated my claim stating I would be rated at 100% if I was basically individual unemployable. It says new TDIU on my claim. They asked me to fill out a form for TDIU and return it within 30 days. I only applied for an increase. How should I proceed? So it's up to you whether you proceed with a TDIU claim. It basically is a matter of if you want to work or if you can't work. If you can't work, I would proceed with the TDIU claim. But if you can work and you still want to work, then I would just let it be. It's all up to you. The ball's in your court now. But just because they suggest it doesn't mean that it will be granted. And if you proceed with TDIU, you will probably have to go through another PTSD exam. So just know that. I first filed 4 years after separation. 2 things I filed were denied, but said related to hazardous environment and Gulf War. Do I need a nexus for the things I filed because I'm not within that 1 year window? Probably. It should be presumptive, but getting Gulf War illness is incredibly difficult at this point, even though it should be presumed when you have certain ailments or when they can't figure things out. But doctors don't like to say they can't figure things out. That's one thing I've learned. When claiming insomnia as secondary, which direct connection to use from the choices of rhinitis, sinusitis, asthma, or sleep apnea, which I'm all SC for? I would file insomnia secondary to all of them, and let the examiner decide which one is secondary to, or say it's a combination of them. But you can file insomnia secondary to rhinitis, sinusitis, asthma, and sleep apnea all at the same time. Would you recommend applying for SSDI while working part-time until it's approved for someone who might be 100% PNT? Thank you. If you think you're eligible for SSDI, go for it. I don't know much about SSDI though, so I can't tell you whether working part-time will affect it or not. But if you think you qualify, go for it. SSDI is much different than VA disability. Okay, let's see, I got a lot of questions here tonight. Am I able to claim kidney stones as an actual claim? It happened twice while I was in service. You can't claim the stones unless you still have them, but you can claim the residuals of the stones. Do you have any resulting disability from the kidney stones that you can claim? Anything still affecting you? Is there a scar? Do you have chronic kidney disease? Is anything still happening that you can claim from those kidney stones? Considering the VA's backlog with appeals, do you think it's easier just to wait out the 12-month window and just start a new claim instead? Really, it all depends. This is an interesting question. I think you meant or instead of and, but it just depends on your evidence and what you have to present. If you have new and relevant evidence, you can go back through the supplemental claim lane and try and get the VA to grant it, and that will only take 2 to 3 to 4 months. But if you don't have any other evidence to give and you're tired of paying for Nexus letters, it's best not to just give up on it. It's best to just take it to the board. And if the board denies it, then take it to court. But this all depends on if you're willing to wait or not, and what kind of evidence you have to present. What should my Nexus say regarding sleep apnea secondary to depression? If you want it to be positive, it should say something like, more likely than not, service connected, your sleep apnea is more likely than not secondary to your depression, and then explain why. It has to have it has to state that it's more likely than not, and then it has to give a rationale, which is the reason for the doctor's opinion. Hello, I just filed my claim in May and the VA sent me to a document saying they required an LOD due to my injury. If this particular document wasn't required, will it harm my chances of being rated? If this particular document wasn't required, will it harm my chances of being rated? They told you they required a LOD due to your injury. I don't think it would harm your rating if it wasn't required. The way you're asking the question, I don't think it would harm your chances of being rated. It would just take a doctor's opinion at that point and the records from your service. But I'm assuming this has something to do with the reserves. What can I expect at my sleep apnea CMP exam? Basically, they're just going to ask you questions about whether you're using a breathing machine, if you've had a sleep study, where the sleep study was at, that type of line of questioning. You should not expect the exam to take very long. It's really the DBQ, I believe, for sleep apnea is only 2 pages, and that's what a doctor has to get through. And so they're going to ask you about some of your symptoms and that type of thing. But basically, a lot of sleep apnea depends on the record in your sleep study. How do you show service connected from miscarriages? Is it documented and cause depression? It is documented and cause depression. You just want to claim the residuals. Residuals, I would put in a claim for residuals of miscarriages. Residuals of miscarriage cause depression. Residuals of miscarriage, depression is what I would file. I filed back in May and I've been out for almost 3 years and I'm still waiting. I'm nervous. Well, I wish you the best and I hope that it gets resolved soon. Can you claim IBS secondary to anxiety depression? Yes, you can. I think I'm not a medical professional, but I don't think that it's uncommon to have gastrointestinal problems secondary to mental health issues. So yes, it's a very valid claim. How do you upgrade your discharge from other than honorable? Is it an uphill battle? I'm not an expert at all in discharge upgrades, but it's probably an uphill battle. You just need to prove at some level that you are a good citizen at this point, or with mental health conditions that caused it, or some other type of fallacy. But I'm not an expert at discharges at all. So I would probably get an attorney that could help me with that. Would you recommend filing for service connection and secondary at the same time? Yes, you can. How long does it take VA to make a decision? If you're talking about an original claim, initial claim, or a claim for increase, you're probably looking at 2 to 3 months. If you're talking about a supplemental claim or a higher level review, you're probably talking more like 4 to 6 months. And if you're talking about an appeal, you're anywhere from a year to multiple years, a board appeal. Also, I have been diagnosed with mild sleep apnea and I use a sleep machine. Yes, your CMP exam should be very quick then. If the VA required an LOD and it wasn't created, could the VA look back through my medical records and notice that the incident did happen while on orders? Yes, they could. And to be safe, I would write a personal statement and point that out to the VA that it's in my medical records that this accident happened while I was on orders, and that's when these disabilities were caused. Sometimes you have to do the work and connect the dots for the VA, or else they won't pay enough attention to the documents to get them to notice and get it done. Hey, St. Lou, how you doing tonight? Your biggest fan from Boston. Go Boston. I used to be a Celtics fan when the year they won the NBA championship. Does the VA usually call for a CMP if you file a claim for increase with your private doctor's DBQs? Yes, they do. That's what I was just talking about, how they're on this exam roll and they just keep ordering exams and ordering exams. They probably should just go off your private doctor's DBQs, but instead they go ahead and order an exam. Okay, let's see. How long is the VA backlog for BDD retirement claims? I don't think they're that backlogged on the claim. You should get a decision sometime very soon after retirement. I know multiple people that have retired recently, and they all had a decision pretty soon, if not a proposed rating before retirement, then they had it within 2 to 3 months of retirement. So I would not, it should not take that long. I passed out in the Marines. Corpsman gave me a shot in the abdominal. I could run, lift things, and hard on breathing. They gave me a physical discharge of asthmas. I have had the same symptoms, and had 2 surgeries to remove plaque in my bloodstream, and it showed that I had a heart attack before. They don't know when. I think they misdiagnosed me. Man, that's a tough one. You need to, first of all, keep going to the doctor, keep trying to find out what's wrong. You need a doctor to kind of say how long ago they think that heart attack was. If they'll write a letter for you, that would be very beneficial to your claim, or get your medical records and see what they say, what the doctor has said about your condition. And if they can tie it to the military, then it definitely needs to be claimed. You could say the symptoms started in the military, but I would definitely try to get that heart condition service connected. A HLR reviewed a Q favorable to the vet for effective dates on 2 service-connected conditions being wrong. Will the VA send back pay automatically? Yes, they will. I am service-connected for bilateral flat feet. I have shin splits documented in my chart, along with the bone scan due to stress fractures. Can this be secondary to bilateral flat feet. They denied me shin splints as a separate claim. Yes, they can be. I've seen shin splints secondary to flat feet, but just know that they rate shin splints as either a knee disability or ankle disability. And so they're going to associate it with one or the other. Just got an MRI on both of my knees with the VA. Doctor stated that I'm losing cartilage on both of my knees. I'm currently rated for lower back and ankles. Can I claim my knees as secondary? I currently have knee pain in both. So yes, you can, most certainly you should. Claim it both secondary to both your ankles and your lower back. Can carpal tunnel be service connected at 0%? I looked in the CFR and the minimum rating listing is 10%. Yes, it can if it doesn't have any symptoms. If it's in a non-compensable state, then it can be rated at 0%. I've never seen it at 0%. Usually being diagnosed with carpal tunnel says that it's symptomatic, but it would be weird if it was at 0%. I would definitely put in for an increase. CMPs for PTSD and hearing loss, tinnitus, down and now waiting headaches, TBI, and Gulf War syndrome, IBS. On January 3rd, I'm hoping you have an opening. Not holding my breath, but I'm hopeful. Should I file an intent to file for my knees? I currently have one claim at the BVA and one at the HLR. Yes, you should. ASAP tonight. Do it up. Stop watching me and go file your intent to file. Why would the VA schedule a CMP exam for headaches if I submitted a fully developed migraines claim with a Nexus opinion, medical opinion, record showing a current diagnosis and the STRs? Because the VA is on this exam roll. Right now, they're ordering exams for everything. They don't have this procedure figured out under AMA about when exams should be ordered and when exams should not be ordered. So they're ordering exams for everything when a claim is submitted with no distinction of, hey, this claim is already fully developed and has all the private medical records needed to go ahead and rate the claim. Do claims ever get decided without a CMP exam if a lot of evidence was sent in? Yes, they do sometimes. These days, it seems to be a rarity because the VA likes ordering the exams these days. But sometimes they do get decided with just the evidence sent in. If a Gulf War veteran is claiming fatigue and sleep disturbances, do they need to already have a diagnosis of chronic fatigue and sleep apnea to get rated? You don't need to already have a diagnosis, but it would make things easier. Especially chronic fatigue syndrome. I found that a lot of doctors don't like to diagnose chronic fatigue syndrome because they believe the fatigue is caused by underlying condition. So when I got denied for another claim, on my decision letter, the rater suggested I file for residual for metatarsal. Had several problems while in service with it. Still went today after 15 years. But I haven't seen any docs about this issue as there isn't much they could do. If the rater recommended I file, is it worth filing even though I haven't seen a doctor about it? No current diagnosis. Yes, it's worth filing. Apparently they saw enough in your file that if you were go to an exam, you say you're still limping, that the examiner would probably find that you still have the condition. It must have been so bad that, it just stood out to the rater. But yes, definitely file it. Could you get service connected for carpal tunnel if you worked in admin rating, even if you haven't complained while in service? I've seen it. Does 100% somatic symptom disorder with predominant severe pain meet the rating criteria for aid in attendance? I was denied in supplemental, but favorable. The findings said I need aid in attendance. If you need help with the activities of daily living to a certain degree, then yes, you would qualify for aid in attendance. But I'm unsure whether 100% somatic symptom disorder itself will predominant severe pain. That's an interesting one. It probably should qualify for aid in attendance, but you're going to need a doctor to say that you need help with the activities of daily living in a significant way. Is there an ideal number of conditions to file on a claim? No. For example, someone might list 14 conditions on a claim, or should one list about 3 or 4 claims at a time? Put all your claims in at one time. There's no limit to the conditions or other disadvantage to not filing all your conditions at once. Does the 1-year window also apply when leaving the Guard or Reserve or only active duty? It applies to your active duty time. That is a good question. It applies to your active duty time. Well, it applies to the date. It applies to your active duty time. That would be my answer, because if you say you were on active duty for a week and you developed arthritis within that year after that week, I think you could still get service connected for it. So, but that's a very good question. I could be wrong on that, but I think it applies to your active duty time. I need to read the verbiage of the law again. I've been trying to help my dad get his VA benefits, Vietnam vet, prostate cancer, PTSD, along with other issues, service related. Where do we start? With the VSO. Get a VSO, get somebody to help you. If you don't know where to start or don't know what you're doing, get a representative and get some help. We did paperwork May 2019. He had a hearing test and then got a denial letter before his next appointment was scheduled. Not sure where to start again. Please get your dad some help ASAP. Go to a VSO, a veteran service officer. Your county should have them, your county government, or somewhere like the DAV, American Legion, Veterans of Foreign Wars. They will help him for free. Is there a way to get what LHI put on their form? Yes, you have to request it from the VA, and they have a new form for requesting it. It's called a Freedom of Information Act of Privacy Act form. Look that up and put in a request for your CMP exams, and you can get the results. Can I file for arthritis? Yes, you can. I missed the CMP for IBS. I was denied with favorable finding a presumptive Gulf War since I deployed. I rescheduled my CMP and they diagnosed me with IBS but denied the claim as not service connected. Well, that doesn't make much sense. I would appeal. It's probably just the CMP examiner said it wasn't due to Gulf War illness, but please appeal that to the board. I filed a supplemental claim and have already had the CMP exam. I can see the updated ratings and e-benefits, but the claim is still open. Does that mean they are still working on it? Yes, they could have deferred some issues, which means they decided some issues, and in other conditions they deferred for more evidence or clarification from the examiner. I filed an appeal in May 2019, and it is still waiting to be seen by a judge. How long should this process take? You need to be seen by a judge, so I would give it about 1.5 to 2 years. Why would the VA schedule a headache CMP exam if a veteran submitted fully developed claim with a Nexus opinion, medical examination, medical record showing treatment and a current diagnosis, and STR is scheduled? I've said this many times tonight, but the VA is on an exam roll. Exams. It does not matter what type of claim it is, fully developed, partially developed, not developed, any development, they are going to schedule you for an exam. There are very few people at the VA at the level that they process intake, at the level of intake of claims, that know when, that can distinguish when the evidence is sufficient to go ahead and send to a rater. And even I've had a couple claims just tonight, even when it's sent to the rater, because evidence is sufficient, the rater will then order a CMP exam. I mean, it's normalized within the VA to order a CMP exam for everything, and they need to normalize not doing that. I had a double lung transplant 18 months ago. Service connected. I had severe scar pain and sternum pain. Also have transplant medically induced diabetes plus severe migraines, and I take Botox shots for, how do they rate scar pain? They should just rate it as secondary. If you're rated because of the transplant, I would just claim it as secondary, and they should rate it as secondary. My doctor wrote me a letter stating the 7 items I filed for were either a result of service or exacerbated by service. Would that likely get me a positive result? I'd have to look at your file to tell you that, but the VA is probably going to order you an exam and get a result from their examiner. I can tell you that much. The letter should help. It should weigh something and be enough to give you the benefit of the doubt, but the VA is putting their exams over private evidence at the agency level at this point. How do I go about getting 100% dental care? I was in a procedure while on active duty, and the doctor dislocated my jaw twice and tried to reset it, but failed to put it back correctly ever since. I've had terrible pain and headaches. I've had to adjust my diet, sleep, and have lost weight. Wow. If you're already 100%, you just need to go to the eligibility office and present them with some evidence that you're 100%, your decision letter or something like that, and they should get you scheduled for dental. But if you're having jaw pain, you might want to visit your primary care doctor too at the VA. Also, can you claim OCD? You surely can. I submitted my intent to file. I'm currently rated at 90%. I have new issues to claim, previously rated issues that I want to file for an increase, and a previously denied claim that I want to resubmit with new evidence. Can I file everything under one intent to file, or do I need to file them all separately? They would be 3. Well, new issues and this is interesting. The new issues and the previously rated issues will probably take up the intent to file. Because they only use intent to file for one claim. You're going to need to file the new issues and the claims for increase together, but then the previously denied issue has to be a supplemental claim. So that date will depend on when the last date you filed was, or either the date of claim. That was a good question. Why can't I expect that a migraine secondary to PTSD CMP exam? They're going to ask you questions about what side of your head the migraines are on. They're probably going to cut off the lights and then shine a light in your eyes and see if that affects you at all. Ask you about sound, if that affects you, or what else affects your migraines. You just want to give the examiner a picture of how bad it is for you. You want to give the examiner a picture of how bad it is for you. You want to go in there like you're having a migraine right now and explain to them how that migraine feels, that type of thing. Is it hard to win sleep apnea at the BVA? I submitted every evidence you could think of, including a Nexus letter. I don't think it's that difficult at the BVA. It's just at the BVA, it's a matter of evidence. They're going to weigh the evidence and even your lay evidence, and so you have a better chance at service connection. Follow-up question from earlier: If they do have to do a CMP exam for PTSD, even though I have the DBQ from VMAG and evidence, does the CMP doctor do another DBQ or review the one you already submitted? DBQ done in October, thank you. The CMP doctor does another DBQ. I was rated for PTSD, but it shows on e-benefits as secondary to my need, which is wrong. I called VA and they told me my PTSD is rated as standalone, not secondary to anything. How can it fix on my e-benefits? I wouldn't be too concerned with what e-benefit shows, really. Well, all that matters is how the VA has it listed in their system, which they told you that it was standalone, and so that should be enough. But I understand wanting to have it right. E-benefits has a technical hotline you can call, and that might be the route to go. See if they can fix it there. That you have to look on e-benefits for that information. There should be a contact us type of situation somewhere on that page. If I put in a request for increase, will I definitely get a new exam for mental health? Yes, you will definitely get a new exam for mental health if you put in a request for increase. I did 24 years in the infantry. While in service, I had chronic low back pain, numbness, and tingling on my left leg and feet. Never seen a doctor while in the military. 10 years later, I'm diagnosed with sciatic low back pain and shows low back damage on MRI. Can I service my low back for being in infantry for 24 years? You can certainly try. You're going to need some strong lay evidence in order to do that, and maybe evident buddy statements or evidence from family, friends, people that knew you, but it's possible. Have you heard of any connections from the anthrax series of shots to deep vein thrombosis? I don't think I've seen it personally, but I have seen connections from anthrax. I just don't think I've seen blood clots, but it's probably a very valid connection. It sounds like it. Is it possible to get back paid back from the accident, or will it only be back paid to the date of claim? Could I claim carpal tunnel since I was in an admin role but did not complain while in service? Yes, you can. How do we file a previously denied claim if it has been more than 8 years since the claim was denied? Is this a supplemental claim or considered a new claim because of time? It's a supplemental claim. You need to file a supplemental claim and have new and relevant evidence in order for it to be reopened. Been waiting on a disability appeal hearing that was canceled twice now, second time due to COVID. Do you know how far the VA is behind? On hearings, it could take some time, but I know they were supposed to be sending a letter to all veterans that had a in-person hearing scheduled to offer them a virtual hearing. And so you might want to inquire, I'm going to look right now, about getting a virtual hearing. Ask your VSO or representative to look into it for you. And I thought they used to have something on virtual hearings on the front page of the BVA website, but I'm not seeing it. They do have something. There's at the bottom of the page on the BVA Board of Veterans Appeals site, there is an option that says considering a BVA hearing, select the video hearing. Please look at that information and see if you can get switched over to a video hearing or something like that. How do I get my IBS that the CMP found connected to service connected Gulf War presumption? If the CMP exam found that it was service connected, then it probably is going to be service connected. Was it denied before? Is that what you're asking? Can you get service for flat feet even if you didn't complain about it in the military? It was in my MEPS records. If it was worsened as a result of your military service and you get a doctor to say that, you have a chance. You have a chance. Could you file for temporary 100% for having surgery on a service-connected disability that was worsened by a motor vehicle accident? Yes. If I've already filed before and have a rating now, but now have new claims, do I need to submit an intent to file a claim again? Yes. I have a documented leg break while in military, but the Army doctors did not fix it correctly, and it has messed up my knees, hip, and spine. I currently have a claim filed, and I'm waiting CMP. It sounds like you have a very good chance at service connection. How long does it take to get a copy of a CMP usually? If you're going through the VA, it's going to take some months, 6 months or more. The easiest way is to get a representative and to get them to pull it for you and just send it to you. I do it for my clients every day. So the easiest way is just to get a representative to look at it for you and to pull it from the VBS system for you. Is it possible to file a claim against the Army? I don't think that's possible at this time unless it's like something like medical malpractice. Then you will need a different type of lawyer, but that's different than VA benefits, so I'm not too sure about that. I've been trying to get my 100% for temp disability, but they denied me twice. Then I realized they didn't have the actual doctor's notes. I sent them to them. I'm still going to therapy and seeing a doctor now. They says I might have nerve damage. What else is going to take for them to approve me? The doctor's note should be enough. How can I submit a question? Just ask the question in the comments. Is the burn pit registry doing anything through COVID? I sent a package in trying to get listed. They said I was eligible the first time. I resubmitted a package with actual pictures of me at a burn pit in Iraq. I've had multiple MOS surgeries on my face, body, diagnosed with IBS and sleep apnea. How are they just not working during COVID, or is it a slow process? I would say it's a slow process that's slower during COVID. Another question. I got the increase to my shoulder service connected, and they did a shoulder CMP on my shoulder last year, but left it at the same percentage. Can I put in a claim to go back to that decision even though I left it alone, but they just raised it this year? No, it doesn't work that way, unfortunately. I have cervical issues in my C2, cervical, and C6, C4, C3, and this non-service connected. However, I have L4, L5, L3, and is service connected. My primary has put me in for 8 in attendance due to the condition has gotten severe bad. I was told by DIV that it would get denied. How so? I'm not sure. I haven't reviewed your file. But if you're claiming something that's not service connected, if you're claiming 8 in attendance for something that's not service connected, then it is going to get denied. If you're claiming 8 in attendance for something that is service connected, they're probably going to send you to an exam. I don't know what the DAV is talking about. I would have to review your file to go further into detail. I filed for insomnia and had a telehealth appointment. We were on for about 5 minutes. Should I be worried? How do you claim insomnia? Oh boy, 5-minute exam for, it could be that they already reviewed your records and they just, and they just needed to ask you a few questions. What it matters more what they asked you in the 5 minutes than it taking 5 minutes. What were you asked, and did it pertain to insomnia? Did it sound favorable? Maybe it's just a few questions that the doctor had that they needed to straighten out. So what matters more is what specifically did they ask you during that time? How do you claim insomnia? You just claim it. Fill out a claim form or file it online or file it secondary to something. Do you recommend sending in pictures of MRIs and injuries? You can send in pictures of the injuries, but the MRI images, they don't need those. They just need, a rater can't interpret the MRI images. So they just need the radiology report. That is what would be most helpful. How do I claim my MST if I can't prove who the person was? You just claim it and tell the VA exactly that. I still don't know who it was. Hopefully there's some other markers in your service record. If you worked in motor T and have tinnitus, but it was denied, can reclaim it, or what should that person do to get rated? Yes, you can reclaim it. You're going to need probably private medical evidence to prove that you have tinnitus and that it is service connected. But yes, you can claim it. How can we find out upcoming town halls virtual to educate more? I do mine randomly, but you can find out about the ones the VA does. I do Facebook searches all the time to see what kind of events the VA is putting on. Or if you go to the va.gov homepage, there's a link at the bottom called Events and Outreach. And it will show you all the events that the VA is putting on at different regional offices and things like that. That's a very good question. Can I claim GERD due to taking Motrin, aspirin problems while in the service due to my service-connected knee problem? I'm diagnosed with GERD through the VA. You most certainly can. That's a very valid claim. If I was denied on a claim and feel the examiner did not examine me properly, can I appeal based on that? Yes, you can. How does the appeal process work? So there's different lanes for appeals. Basically, you just file for appeal. It goes before a veterans law judge. They have some staff attorneys who will probably present an opinion to the veterans law judge. The veterans law judge reviews it, sends it back to staff to finish up, and then they send you a decision. The process sounds simple, but it takes a year or more if you're talking about a Board of Veterans Appeals appeal. Hello, can I claim GERD? You certainly can. I was given 20% disability in 1992 when I got out of the service. Then they stopped about 2 years later and said it was not service connected. They gave me a letter saying I was service connected if I applied for a civil service job. Oh boy, you need to get a representative and get somebody to look at that. It sounds like the VA did something wrong there, and you might be due some back pay. So definitely get somebody to look into that. Get a representative. What percentage is spondylosis, scomar nose of the thoracic spine, and degenerative type 2? There's not a specific percentage. It's just dependent on your range of motion. Had back pain throughout my service record. Never knew what the reason was for the pain until a few weeks ago when I got an x-ray at the VA. Come to find out I have scoliosis. They originally denied my back pain. Now they have been diagnosed with scoliosis. Will they rate me or give me a CMP exam? They should. I would submit a supplemental claim and tell them to look at your VA treatment records for new evidence. What's the possibility of raising my PTSD, anxiety, and depression percentage from 60 to 80 because I'm now on meds, seeing a therapist and doing Zoom calls with my VA psychiatrist weekly? She has me on a 90-day watch and writing a letter for my decision. You mean to go from 50 to 70 or something like that? But it's definitely possible. You just need to, at the CMP exam, explain to the examiner how bad it really is and what you go through every day, and just be raw and open and let them feel your pain. Paint a picture. Will my MST be secondary to my anxiety or stand alone? Sorry for so many questions. Oh no, you're fine. It could be secondary or stand alone. You should probably try both. But if you're already rated for anxiety, There's no point in filing for MST. You just need to put in for increase for anxiety. All righty, guys, that looks like all the questions for tonight. We've been here for about an hour and a half. Thank you for hanging with me. Y'all have a great night. Take care. And I wish you all the best in your claims. Happy holidays, Merry Christmas, and Happy New Year. Take care.